Hi guys, welcome to Recall Made Easy, and in this episode, this will be the final episode of Recall Made Easy where we will discuss about something called mind map approach. Now understand that whenever people use mind map approach, they are trying to use the approach for very specific issues and very specific content. That should not be the case. When you do that, you are complicating the way you read. You should always apply the mind map approach at a much broader level, which I am going to teach in this episode, that is episode 6 of Recall Made Easy. Alright, now let us go and learn the modern India and see how we can apply the mind maps to modern India to learn the important facts that is actually very important for the upcoming prelims exam. So I hope you are ready. Let us start off then. Alright guys, let us do the modern India. Understand that modern India can be studied in two ways, and modern India has to be studied in two ways. One is the temporal approach. What do you mean by the temporal approach? Temporal approach means you are going through the timeline. So, you go from the decline of Mughals, and from decline of Mughals you go into the advent of Europeans, and from advent of Europeans you go to the British expansionist policies. From there you go to the revolt of 1857. And from revolt of 1857, everyone will know the timeline. So as you can go from revolt of 1857 up to 1947, these are the sequence of events that has happened. So you should have very good clarity about the sequence of events that has happened in the same timeline. So this is one approach that you have to study modern India. Once you are done with this, how to study the facts of modern India, that comes through what you call as thematic approach. Okay, so when I say thematic approach, see for example, Governor Generals, then you have the Viceroys, then you have, let us say, civil service reforms, then you have educational reforms, let us say peasant revolts, let us say civilian unrest and uprisings. Then you have the tribal revolts. Then you can say British press acts. Then you can say working class acts. So these are not an exhaustive list. You can keep going on. For example, let me just change the color, because in this episode I'm going to show these many themes, how to use the mind maps in these themes. That is the idea of this particular episode, but this is not an exhaustive list. You can keep going on. For example, Congress sessions. Next is important journals and newspapers. The next, revolutionaries. The next is important organizations. The next is socio-economic reformers. Okay. So like this, you can keep adding on to the thematics and learn about the facts. Now, when you keep adding on the themes and keep learning the facts, it becomes difficult. So this is where you have to use, this is the idea of this episode. This is where you have to use what I call as mind map approach. This is where you have to use something called mind map approach. Okay. Now what many people will do is, many people will apply the mind map approach to very specific topics. When I say specific topics, let us say you're doing Governor Generals. So in Governor Generals, you have Warren Hastings, you have Cornwallis, you have Wellesley. Now, you should not try to put the mind map approach inside Warren Hastings, inside Cornwallis, inside Wellesley. It becomes too complicated. Don't do that. But if you can just come one level above that, and at a broader level, if you can apply the mind map, then it will do wonders for you. And that is what we are going to learn here. Look at this. By the end of this episode, we are going to apply the mind maps to these thematics. And by the end of this episode, you will have the mind maps of all these thematics, and you will see how easy it will be after knowing the mind maps to add more content to it. So the idea is to always have the mind maps at a broader level and not to create mind maps at a very specific level, because then it becomes very difficult. So I'm going to show it to you live. I'm going to show it to you by doing the mind maps for all these thematics. So we will do it. So what I want you to do is hold a pen and a paper and write the mind maps along with me, and make sure that in every thematic that I've written here, I want you to write it in one separate page. Don't make it look clumsy. Write it with a lot of space, because once we are done with the mind maps, I'm going to allow you to fill up whatever mind maps that we have written. So that is an assignment that you have to do, and that is very easy, and you will see the returns on the investment that you are going to put. But what I want you to do is, on every separate sheet, one thematic you have to write, and we are going to put the mind map. And inside the mind map, what we have to do, I will tell you at the end of the episode. But for now, I hope you are ready. I hope you have a pen and a paper, and I hope you are going to write down the thematics one page at a time in the same manner that how I am going to write, and you will realize how effective we can use this mind map approach. Okay, so I hope you are ready. Let us start off then. Alright, so then let us start with the first thematic. The first thematic is Governor General. Okay, so let us start with this. I hope you people are ready. Now, let us apply the mind map approach to the Governor Generals. Okay, that is up to 1857. So let us apply the mind map approach. So we start with Warren Hastings. Okay, approximate dates are enough. You don't have to remember the exact dates. So you have Warren Hastings. The next 1790s, you have Cornwallis. The next you have 1800s, you have Wellesley. The next you have 1810s. We have two people who come here in 1810. One is Lord Minto, and the next is Lord Hastings. Lord Minto and Lord Hastings. You people can go side by side. Because I don't have space, I'm going to come down and write. But one thing what I want you to do is, I want you to leave some space, because I will be telling you what to do later on. But go side by side as and when I keep telling you. I am coming this side because I don't have much space. Okay. So 1810s, Lord Minto and Lord Hastings. The next you have 1820s to 1830s. You have William Bentinck. And the next is a little tricky, so look at it carefully. 1840s, you have four people who come here. One is Lord Metcalfe, Lord Auckland, Lord Ellenborough, and Lord Ardinge. Okay. The next comes 1850s. You have Dalhousie, and 1850s you have Lord Canning. Okay. So overall, in your first mind map of Governor Generals, this is how you go. 1780s, 90s, 1800s, 1810s, 1820s, 30s, 1840s, 1850s. Approximately this date is enough. They are not going to worry about exact years, so don't worry about it. So first comes Warren Hastings, Cornwallis, Wellesley, Lord Minto, Lord Hastings, William Bentinck, Lord Metcalfe, Lord Auckland, Lord Ellenborough, Lord Ardinge, Lord Dalhousie, and Lord Canning. Here and there I would have left one or two. That is purposely done because I feel that they are really not that important for us to by heart. So then it is okay. Okay, but now this is the mind map of Governor Generals. Let it be there. So we are done with Governor Generals. Now let us go to the next theme. What is the next theme? The next theme is, we are done with the Governor Generals. Let us go to the next theme, and that is Viceroys. Okay, so let us go to the next theme, and that is Viceroys. So go to a separate page and write down the important mind maps of Viceroys. So this is from 1857 to 1947. Okay, let us start. So 1850s, you have Lord Canning. Then you have 1860s, you have Lord John Lawrence. Then you have 1870s, here you have Lord Mayo, you have Lord Ripon, and then you have Lord Lytton. Okay, so these are the three people who will come during this period. The next is 1880s. You have Lord Dufferin. Then 1890s. You have Lord Landzone. Then you have 1900s. You have Curzon. Then 1900s only, you have Curzon. You also have Minto 2. You have Curzon and then you have Minto 2. 1910s. You have Ardinge 2 and then Chelmsford. Okay. Then 1920s, you have on one side you have reading, okay, and on the other side Lord Irwin. Lord Irwin. Now Lord Irwin is there even in 1930s, so you have Lord Irwin, and then you also have Lord Willingdon. Lord Willingdon, and then you also have Lord Linlithgow. Linlithgow. Okay, so Lord Linlithgow continues in 1940s. So in 1940s, along with Lord Linlithgow, you also have Lord Wavell, and then you have Lord Mountbatten. Lord Wavell and Lord Mountbatten. Okay, so this completes the mind map of Viceroys. So now we have done the mind maps of two thematics. One is we have done with the Governor Generals, and then we have done with the Viceroys. How to capitalize on this, I will tell you in some time. Just believe me and just complete the episode and keep writing along with me. You will see the benefits of the mind maps. So we are done with the Governor Generals, we are done with the Viceroys. The next is civil service reforms. Okay, let us do the mind map of civil service reforms. So let us go to the next page. Here, let us start with civil service reforms. So I hope you are ready. Let us start off. Write this. It all starts with Warren Hastings. It starts with Warren Hastings. The next is Cornwallis. So if you can remember, Cornwallis is the person who started covenanted and non-covenanted civil services. Then comes Wellesley. So if you remember, Wellesley wants to open a Fort William College, which the Board of Control will not allow. But anyways, so you have Warren Hastings, Cornwallis, Wellesley. I am not using the years here because in the previous mind map, you already know the years. Okay, so again 1780s, 1790s, 1800s. Okay, next look at this. I am going to come down, but you people follow the same logic, go side by side. So you have Warren Hastings, Cornwallis, Wellesley. The next important civil service reform is the Charter Act of 1853. Okay, the next comes the Indian Civil Services Act. Indian Civil Services Act 1861. Okay, the next important comes is Statutory Civil Services 1878. Basically, this was attempted by Lytton. It will not be implemented, but this was attempted by Lytton. Statutory Civil Services 1858. The next comes, the next important is Aitchison Committee on Civil Services during the time of Lord Dufferin. Okay, Aitchison Committee on Civil Services 1886. All right, this comes. The next, again I'm going to the bottoms, but you just follow to the next one. Aitchison's Committee on Civil Services 1886. After this comes the next one, Montford Reforms. Montford Reforms 1919. After this comes the next one is Lee Commission. Is Lee Commission of 1924. After this, they will suddenly form the Public Service Commission. Remember? So, Lee Commission 1924, and the last one is Government of India Act of 1940. Sorry, Government of India Act 1935. So, okay, in Government of India Act 1935, this is where they are going to create the Federal Public Service Commission, the Provincial Public Service Commission, and Joint Public Service Commission. However, don't worry about all those things now. I want you to only worry about going with the flow, understanding the mind map. We are just mapping the thematics. So I hope you understood the thematics of civil service reforms, and I hope you have written down clearly what is the timeline mind map of the civil service reforms. So if we go back to the original page, we are done with Governor Generals, Viceroys, and civil service reforms. Next, let us go to educational reforms. Let us draw the mind map for educational reforms in the modern India. Okay, so let us go back. So the next page, go to the next page and write down educational reforms. Write down educational reforms. Okay, so I hope you are ready. Let us start off. It all starts with the Charter Act of 1813. Okay, the Charter Act of 1813. Here you have something called Anglicis versus Orientalis. Okay, next comes the Macaulay Minute. Next comes the Macaulay Minute of 1835. This is where the theory called downward infiltration theory comes into picture. The next comes the Magna Carta of English education in India, and that is Wood's Dispatch. The next is Wood's Dispatch, 1854. After this comes the next, Hunter's Commission. Hunter's Commission on Education. Hunter's Commission on Education. This comes in 1880s. Okay. Again, you write next. I'm just going below because I don't have space. After Hunter's Commission on Education, 1880s, then comes the Indian Universities Act. Indian Universities Act of 1904. This was implemented on the recommendation of Raleigh Commission. This was implemented on the recommendation of Raleigh Commission during the time of Curzon. Anyways, next. The next comes Sadler Commission. The next comes Sadler Commission. Okay, 1917. The next comes, after Sadler Commission, the next comes Arthog Commission. Arthog Commission. This is in 1929. The next comes the Varda Scheme of Basic Education. Varda Scheme of Basic Education. This is 1937. And the last comes the Sargent Plan of Education. Sargent Plan of Education, 1947. Okay. So, this is the mind map of the educational reforms in the modern India time period. Okay. Stay with me. So, we are done these following thematics. We have done the mind map of these following thematics. So, what are the thematics that we have done? Governor Generals, Viceroys, Civil Service reforms, educational reforms. Okay. The next we are going into is Peasant Revolts. We are again going to do the mind map of Peasant Revolts. So, let us go ahead and continue and complete the Peasant Revolts. So, let us write down as Peasant Revolts. Okay. So, start off. You have from 1850s to 1870s. 1850s to 1870s, you have Indigo Revolt. You have Pabna Revolt. Then you have Deccan Riots. Deccan Riots. So, these are the three important revolts that happens from 1850s to 1870s. The next is 1920s. In 1920s, you have one Mopila Rebellion. Mopila Rebellion. The second is the Kisan Sabha movements. Kisan Sabha movements and Ekka movement. Kisan Sabha movements and Ekka movement. Ekka movement. The third is Bardoli Satyagraha. The third is Bardoli Satyagraha. Okay. 1930s, there is formation of All India Kisan Sabha. Okay. 1940s. 1940s, you have the Thebaga movement. You have the Thebaga movement in Bengal. And then you have the Telangana movement. Telangana movement in Telangana. Obviously in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, there was no Telangana as such. Telangana movement in Andhra Pradesh. So overall, this is the mind map of Peasant Revolts. Okay, keep it here. Let us go to the next thematic. Let us go back to the main page and let us go back to the next thematic. So we are done with the Peasant Revolts. The next is civilian unrest or civilian uprisings. Okay, let us do the civilian uprisings. So again, go to the new page and write down civilian uprisings. Okay, the next page is civilian uprisings. Civilian uprisings. Okay, now let us start off from 1760s to 1800s. From 1760s to 1800s, you have Sannyasi Revolt. You have Sannyasi Revolt. Then 1790s, you have the Polygars Revolt. The Polygars Revolt. Then 1800s. Then 1800s, you have Diwan Velu Tampi's Revolt. Diwan Velu Tampi's Revolt. Then 1810s. 1810s, you have the Diwan Velu Kutch Rebellion. You have the Kutch Rebellion. And then 1815s, you have the Paika Rebellion. Paika Rebellion. Then 1820s, you have the Ahom Revolt. Ahom Revolt. And finally 1840s, you have the Kukka movement. You have the Kukka movement. So overall, this is the timeline, or this is the mind map of the civilian uprisings. Okay, so let us go back. Let us again go back to the first page. Let us go back to the first page. Here, look at this. We have also completed the mind map of the civilian unrest and civilian uprisings. Let us go to this one. Let us go to tribal revolts. Now, write down in the separate page tribal revolts, and let us write down the mind map of tribal revolts. Okay, so write down tribal revolts. Okay, so tribal revolts. The first one is 1780s. 1780s, you have Chuar uprisings. Next, 1820s, you have O uprising. Next, 1830s. 1830s is very important. Look at this. You have coal uprising. You have Cones uprisings. Okay, and then you have Kasi rebellion. And then you can go side by side. 1850s. You have Santal rebellion. Then you have 1860s. You have Munda rebellion. And 1880s. Again, there are many here. 1880s. Look at this. There is Koya uprising. There is Ramosi uprising. And then there is Rampa revolt. Now this is first Rampa revolt. There is 1920s. There is second Rampa revolt. Second Rampa revolt is in 1920s. So overall, we have finished the mind map of the tribal revolts. Okay, I will tell what to do next with all these things, but let us come back to the first page and see how much have we finished. Look, so fast. We have completed so many factual informations at a broader level by using the approach called mind maps. So we have finished the tribal revolts. Let us go to the British Press Acts. Okay, let us complete that. So take a new fresh page and let us write down. The British Press Acts in India. Okay, British Press Acts in India. Okay, let us start off. The first one is Censorship of Press Act of 1799. This is basically applied because the Britishers are fearing the invasion of Napoleon. Anyways, so this is the first one. The second one is Licensing Regulations Act of 1823. Okay, John Adams, who is the acting governor, is the one who is going to put this. Now this is very, very restrictive. So when you put this, see, Licensing Regulations Act 1823. The third one is Indian Press Act 1835. This is where, you know, Lord Metcalfe will ease the restrictions. Because Lord Metcalfe eases the restrictions, he is given the name Liberator of Indian Press. But anyways, let us not go into the explanation. By default, I keep going on to the explanation. We are only worried about the mind maps. So you have Censorship of Press Act 1799, then the Licensing Regulations Act 1823, then you have Indian Press Act 1835. Let us come like this. Then comes the Revolt of 1857. So you have Licensing Regulations Act of 1857. After this comes the next one, fifth one, Registration Act of 1860s. After this comes the next one, the very infamous one that everyone knows, that is Vernacular Press Act of 1878. The next comes during the time of extremists, to suppress the extremists. This is Indian Press Act of 1910. The last one comes Indian Press Emergency Powers Act of 1931. This is basically to quell the civil disobedience movement. Indian Press Emergency Powers Act 1931. So overall, these are the different important events that we have drawn in the time of mind maps. for the thematic British Press Acts in India. Okay, so we are done with this also. Let us go back again to the first page. So in the first page, if you look at this, so we are done with the British Press Acts. Let us go back to the last one, that is Working Class Acts. Okay, so I hope you are ready. Take out a fresh page and let us write down. So you have the working class. Okay, so let us start off. 1880s. Okay, 1880s, you have someone called Narayan Meghaji Lokhande. He is the father of trade union movement in India. He's called Rao Bahadur. Okay, anyways, so you have Narayan Meghaji Lokhande. This is where the working class movement starts getting reformed. But let us look at this. 1880s, you have Narayan Meghaji Lokhande. Then you have the Factory Act of 1881. Then you have the Factory Act of 1891. Then you have, after this Factory Act of 1891, then you have in 1920s. In 1920s, you have the formation of All India Trade Union Congress. Then you have Trade Union Act 1926. Then you have the Trade Disputes Act of 1929, and then you have the Industrial Disputes Act of 1947. So if you are following the current affairs very carefully, this Industrial Disputes Act is subsumed and they have created 4 important labor codes. So if you are seeing this video and if you are really sincere, then make sure that you put in the comment section what are the 4 labor codes. And please make sure that for the upcoming prelims, these 4 labor codes are very important. I hope you will revise them properly. One question for sure will come from those 4 labor codes. So be very, very careful. However, coming back to the discussion. So this is the mind map of the Working Class Acts. Okay. So let us go back to the first page now. Look at this. Look at the amount of mind maps we have done. We have, in the matter of few minutes, we have completed the Governor General, the Viceroys, the Civil Service reforms, the educational reforms, the Peasant Revolts, civilian unrest and uprisings, tribal revolts, British Press Acts and Working Class Acts. Now, what I want you to do is, you have all these thematics that are written in single individual pages. I want you to pause the video and 5 times just visualize these pages. Go one by one and just look at all the names and come. After 5 times, you will start feeling comfortable with this broader outlook of the mind maps. So, you will start feeling comfortable about all these thematics in a matter of few minutes. Why are you feeling comfortable is because you are using this mind map approach at a much broader level, where there is no unnecessary information that you have to by heart. There is just necessary factual names that you have to absorb and visualize. So when you create a mind map approach at a very broader level, it will give you scope to visualize the names. If you make it at a very specific level, there is a lot of unnecessary English and language that you have to read, which will help you not visualize. That is the advantage. So just pause the video and visualize this for 5 times. Do that, guys. Now, I hope that you people paused the video and then went through it 5 times. Now, what I want you to do next is, now once you are feeling comfortable with this thematics, what I want you to do today itself, not tomorrow, today itself is, because you are feeling that competency and you are feeling that comfortableness, I want you to add one extra layer of depth to it. Okay. So what I want you to do is, let us take the example of, let us say, Governor Generals. So if you're looking at Governor Generals, now I told you to leave some space for every Governor General. I want you to now add specific information. I don't want you to write English. I want you to write specific information, one below the other, for every Governor General. For example, if you take Cornwallis, you can say separation of judiciary from executive. You can say that Cornwallis Code was introduced. You can say circuit courts. So just the name, circuit courts, Cornwallis Code, separation of judiciary from executive. Only the names that are important or specific facts that are important for these personalities, write only them. So go one by one and write those specific facts that you feel is important, that can come in the prelims exam with regards to these Governor Generals, one after the other. Don't overdo it, just write specific facts. In the same manner, go to the next thematic. Now, write the specific facts for every Viceroy. Then, you go to the next thematic, write the specific facts for the civil service reforms. For example, Warren Hastings laid the foundation of civil service reforms. Cornwallis divided the civil services into covenanted and non-covenanted. Wellesley wanted to set up a Fort William College, which was not allowed. So you don't have to say which was not allowed. All this becomes English. Just tell Fort William College, just tell covenanted and non-covenanted, father of civil services. So like that. Charter Act of 1853, opening the civil services to Indians through competitive exams. Indian Civil Service Act. Exams will be held in England. Greek and Latin is compulsory. The age of the civil services. That's all. Statutory civil services. That is 1/6 of the covenanted civil services post must be given to the elite families. This was the proposition that was put by Lord Lytton. However, this was not implemented, but you just have to write 1/6 of the covenanted post, high families. That's all. So, Aitchison's Commission on Civil Service, threefold classification of civil services. Next, you go to Montfort Reforms, Public Service Commission. That is how. You just have to write specific facts. So, everywhere you go, if you go to the next, if you go to this, again, educational reforms, I want specific points. Don't write English, I want you to write specific points. So, I hope you are understanding the flow. Let me just go back to the first page. So, what we did is, we took the thematics, under every thematics we created the mind maps, and once we can visualize the mind maps and we feel that comfortability with that particular thematic, then we are going to add depth to it. So that is the most effective way in order to use the mind map approach. I hope you understood what I was telling in the beginning. Mind map approach should not be used for specific issues. It should always be used at a broader level in order to get the broader framework, and inside the broader framework, you can add the issues once you are comfortable with the mind map. So guys, today, I want you to again visualize the mind maps that we did for 5 times. Once you are comfortable, I want you to go and build depth. Okay, do it today itself. Believe me, this entire thing you can revise in the matter of just 30 minutes. So just understand the power you will have to revise the entire subject in the matter of just 3 to 4 hours. That is the advantage of having such mind map approach at a broader level. Okay, so today you are going to visualize these thematics that we have done, then add depth to it. Tomorrow what you are going to do is, you are going to create the thematics for the other themes that we have not done in the class. So make sure that you just sit for 2 hours. Not even 2 hours is required. If you just sit for 1 hour, you can create the mind maps for all the other themes. So once you have created the mind map for all the other themes, do the same process. That is, sit 5 times. Try to visualize the mind maps of all these themes. Once you are comfortable with the mind maps, then add specific facts to those particular mind maps. So if you can do that, guys, that means that you can revise the entire modern India in the matter of just half of a day. And this is not something that I'm trying to float an idea. This is something that my students from Master Prelims are able to do. I want the same competency to be built across the country, where every student can finish this subject of modern India in the matter of just 1 day. And if you want to do that, make sure that you follow this approach. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you understood how exactly you should put the mind map approach in order to get the framework at a much broader level, especially to understand the subject itself. Alright guys, so this was the final episode of Recall Made Easy. This was done with the purpose to teach you different approaches to absorb factual information in your UPSC preparation, and I hope you have learned that. You have not only learned the approaches, you also learned so much of facts that actually is helpful for your upcoming prelims exam, and I hope that you people will get these questions directly and you can clear the exam and come to the mains preparation. Thank you so much for all the love and support, guys. I'll see you again. Bye.